ya Moranang re bala fela malatsi a ka nna masome a le mararo le botlhano pele re tsena mo ditlhophong tsa diporofense le tsa kakaretso tsa ngwaga ono wa 2024 ke go kaitse ke re na le makokwa le matlhano a sepolotiki ka kwano ba ile gore tla ba re buisana le bona mo bosigong bo tota re bala malatsi le masome a mararo le bone ibile re tsepamisitse mogopolo wa rona mo porofenseng ya Northwest ka kakaretso itse gore ka letlhaleo la motsheganong fa tla botlhala malatsi a le masome a mabedi le borobongwe ke makoko a sepolotiki a le masome a supa a ile gore a tla tlhagelela mo go bula gore re ile go tlhopha ka dipaloto di le tharo le bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ba le lesome le bongwe a re amogele baeng ba rona ba bosigo ba tsatsi leno la gompieno ra ba re tsena ka gangwe fela mo dipuisanong tsa rona ba bang ba batla nnang gona mo puisanong ke lekoko la Patriotic Alliance a re simole fela ka fa re na le re Desmond Carolas go tswa ko lekokong la African National Congress. Right, so good evening. Welcome to Ahanang FM. You may greet our listeners.
Thank you, Lillian, and thank you to your listeners. Good night, good evening. My name is Desmond Carolas, representing the ANC in JB Max local municipality.
Well, thank you very much. Garang ba bang ba baeng ba rona ba rena le bone go tswa mo lekokong la Democratic Alliance rena le Resithulo Resithulo dumela re go amogetse mo Ahanang FM ka dumedisa baretsi ba rona.
Khatsela ke re ke go dumedise mo bosigong ba gompieno ke dumedise baretsi ba bantle ba station sa rona sa legae sa Ahanang FM.
Re a leboga thata re lebogetse go nna teng ka gore Economic Freedom Fighters madume rights o re mangaliso re go amogetse mo Ahanang FM ka dumedisa baretsi ba rona.
Ke a leboga mme LILLIAN ke dumedisa badira mmogo jaaka nna ba sepolotiki itse lo ne tšhono e ke dumedise baagi ba JB Max ka bophara le maAfrika borwa botlhe ka bophara.
Re a leboga re go amogetse rights go tswa ka kwa Action SA re na le re Umzi Uvukile Chachu ke tsa gore ke se ke le buisitse sentle re Chachu dumela re go amogetse mo Ahanang FM ka dumedisa baretsi ba rona.
Ke a leboga LILLIAN. We're not part of the discussion. I'm Dr. Mzuvukile James Chachu, you are correct. Rekitse monyetla wa go dumedisa baagi botlhe ba Dr. Kenneth County District and le botlhe ba leng gore ba reeditse station se go tswa ko from long distances, as I know that you can cover up to a radius of 100 kilometers. So ba leng gore they've tuned in online le bone ke ba dumedisa ke ba amogela.
Re a leboga thata ntate re ke le amogetse ke batho ba borre fela ke ipotsa gore bo mme ba kae fela go tla siama. All right, a re simole ka fa mo lekokong la African National Congress ntate Carolas se ke batlang go se utlwa go tswa mo gena kgotsa go se itse go tswa mo gena ke gore a maAfrika borwa baagi ba province ya Northwest maloko a lekoko la African National Congress aba santse bana le tsholofelo le tshepo mo lekokong la ANC.
I'm going to respond in
Oh, my apologies, Mr. Carolas. What I wanted to know and to find out is if the South Africans, people in the Northwest Province, members of the African National Congress, do they still have trust and hope in the party?
Thank you again, LILLIAN. Yes, I can confirm. You see, our approach in these elections and in all of our elections is not only putting posters on the polls. We have a direct contact with voters on the ground, and we test our strengths through that. People are honest with us where they are even chasing us out if they are angry with us. So our assessment thus far is that more than 70% here local are still believing and trusting the ANC.
And how does that make you feel when you get angry community members, you get angry people who chase you away from their houses?
No.
And what does that tell you?
I personally can say I feel bad. It's not good because we've got a team where people are not happy with us. We've got a team, we call them persuaders.
Okay.
They will then go and listen to those, because others will tell you, I'm undecided. Others will tell you, I'm strong ANC, and others will tell you I'm weak because I don't know, must I still trust you? And others will tell you straight, I'm not going to vote for you. So on those, the three last ones, we will send our persuaders there to listen to them and to try and persuade them. Otherwise, some we win, some we lose.
And you say 70%. Did I hear you correctly?
I said 70%.
70%. Okay. So is that the reason perhaps we know that on this past weekend your general secretary was here? Is that why you could not even fill the tent that you erected next to Government Hall? Were you expecting community members? Were you expecting members from your political party?
No, that was a sectoral meeting.
Okay.
We invited senior citizens for that meeting. And our target was 500 for that meeting.
Okay. And
but
how many people came?
The people attended was 757.
Okay.
So it was only for a sector, a specific sector. It's not for the whole community. And that is why we have it outside the stadium. And I don't know which meeting did you attend where you say...
You expected 500 people.
Yes.
In the tent that you erected next to
Yes.
Government Bay. Okay. We'll get to that. Rasi Tlolo, I don't so no. Out of 10, rate the African National Congress. Rebelete ditirelo mo province ya North West to govern bokae.
Well, ke tsa gore dipalopalo kana rating e o buang ka yona ga etso mo go nna jaaka lekoko la Democratic Alliance ke nagana gore re ka lebella di-institution tse di farologaneng tseo e le gore di dira polling ga jana kana dipalopalo tse e le gore makoko a tle go e bona ka ditlhopho tsa tse re yang go tsone tsa di 29 tsa May 2024 re lebeletse dipholo tse e le gore di rilisitswe ke Ratings Africa e le gore e lebella the Financial Sustainability Index ya di masepala tse di farologaneng mo nageng ya rona ya Afrika Borwa se se utlwisang botlhoko ke the delusion eo e le gore haraha o na le yone ya go negana gore ba santsane ba tlile go ka fenya kana ba santsane ba na le a source of trust e le gore baagi ba mo masepaleng wa rona wa GB Max ka gore mo masepaleng wa selegae ke bue ka one gongwe le mabapi it's not only the people ba swantse re botse gore a ba santsane ba na le tshepo mo lekokong la African National Congress ke dikgwebo tse di tshwanang le bo Clover e tswileng the biggest cheese manufacturing factory e tsamaileng ka 2021 no well I suppose that is the reality ba beeletsi batho ba simulang dikgwebo baagi in general ga gona ANC ailing at 70%. They didn't get more than 50% mo JB Max ka 2021, which shows you gore batho ga bana confidence at all. I mean, they didn't get 50% in municipalities in Gauteng, in Nelson Mandela Bay, in municipalities across the country in the big metros. So ga ke tlhaloganye what is this fascination ya gore ba tlile go fenya. There's absolutely no trust in the African National Congress. The level of service delivery over the 30 years has deteriorated to a point where baagi le bone ka bo bone. That is why o bonang go na le di mixed signals ba kubiwa ba ngatiwa ka maje. People don't trust.
But in the Northwest Province, how would you rate them as far as service delivery is concerned?
Well, it would be a 3.
Or 3 out of 10.
It would be a 3 out of 10. We have companies that are leaving the Northwest, municipalities such as Ditsobota, even here, Hatiki company and Elefelafa, Ejotumo, Tubilung, Hotelo, Ditina, Lidi, in Elefa, Kimebereko, Meka, Elachetung, Ke, Bailo, Batoka, Dijomotafuli. I mean, you can't have confidence in a government that is losing investors, Kanaba Beleti, Bailo Batama, Bayakodi Maspalens, the Farolohan, Monarchy, Koelo, Tabulelo, Ditirelo, eating Ebile, Maleba, Ebile, we can see. From Muruni Kakare to the research at the Ratings Africa, so there's absolutely no way you can say that there's trust and confidence in the ANC in the Northwest.
Okay. 2014 Lekokola Democratic Alliance ke itse go lenele mo 12.73% moraga ditlhopho tseo ditlhopho tsa 2019 11.18% ke batla morago nyana re tlo go bua ka yone gore go iragalang re bua ka yone tshepo a kere ja go bua gore go a bonagala gore mo lekokong la African National Congress tshilofelo ga yo go ya ka ditshwaelo tsa gago re tla rutla gore go iragalang ka mo Democratic Alliance ga re bona le teng e ke di dipalopalo di na le go ya ka kwa tlase ga ya ka ntse ke go bapisetsa Economic freedom fighters service delivery mo Northwest Province, how would you rate African National Congress out of 10?
Ke a leboga mme Lillian. Ke matlhabisa ditlhong a morafe le setšhaba se mokgatlho wa ANC o se dira mo baaging ka service delivery. Since 1994 ANC e kgonne go kry-a political power mara ga ya kgona go kry-a economic power. Ke gone ka moo batho ba rona maphelo a bone a sa thabologeng Lillian. ANC ga e direle baagi ba rona sepe se e leng gore se sentle ga ke itse gore modirammogo jaaka nna o tsaya kae that braveness ya gore ANC e na le 70% support ya baagi. Why a sa re ANC e na le 100% ya baagi? Because wa itsile gore lekoko le la ANC ga le direle baagi ba rona sepe, ga rena metsi, ga gona ditiro. Corruption is the order of the day because of badiredi puso ba ANC le ba government ba ikadima letlole la setšhaba.
Mme le dirang go ba hold accountable ka gore le teng mo gare ga kokoano theo molao ya province ya Northwest. Ke go tsaya ebile ka ntlha gore ga se dinako di le dintsi re bonang economic freedom fighters le tlhagisa maikutlo a lona kgotsa le kgala dilo tse di rileng le fa kae le bua fa kae ka dilo tse jaaka o di uma ka gone jaanong gore go na dilo tse di dintsi African National Congress ga ya dira sepe lona le fa kae le dirang ka tsona kgotsa le ka jang go bua le setšhaba go lwela setšhaba mo dintleng tseo.
Ha o ka gopola sentle mme Lillian, rona ga re na maatla a go busa ka gonne baagi ba South Africa mo bokone bophirima le mo nageng ya rona Africa Borwa ga ba re fa di nomoro kgotsa the majority ya gore re ka tshwara puso. Ra ba kgala ha o ka gopola sentle maloba ko legislature ko Mafikeng di baetapele ba EFF ba ne ba kitikiwa ke security sa ANC ha ba ne ba lemogisa ANC gore le palelwa ke go direla baagi ba rona le palelwa ke go direla setšhaba sa Northwest. Ba tswile mo le gona le di-video tse e leng gore di dire ko social media le wena o ka di searcha o ka di kry-a ba ne ba raisa one mabaka a gore ga le direle baagi sepe mme re le hold accountable ha ba re ba botsa dipotso ba re ba ba hold accountable ba ntshiwa mo teng ga
la emisa go bua la sa tlhola le bua le tshaba mabole.
mme Lillian ke tsa gore wena o kitikiwa o tla bua yang wa kitikiwa wa ntshiwa mo radio stationing go to ska bua ga yo kgona go bua ka gonne ba dirisa matla a bone ka go sa siama ba diri ba gatella the opposition parties mo legislature because ga ba batle go hold you accountable.
Okay, a re go gore Chachu right, so ke a itse go ke lekgetlo e tla be le lekgetlo la ntlha Action SA e gaisana na ditlhopho tse tsa bosetšhaba 2021 le gaisane le ditlhopho tseo gore mo 2024 la gaisana mo diprofenseng la gaisana bosetšhaba fela ka kakaretso le lengwe la makoko a ileng gore ka gale le tlabe le tlhagelela mo phatlhalatseng ke tsa gore lebeletse ka mokgwa puso e tsamaisiwang ka gona le ka rate African National Congress bokae go tswa mo go 10 mo provinceng ya Northwest re bua ka ditirelo.
Ke a leboga Lillian. In fact, what I can say ke gore African National Congress is performing very poor. If we rate a 3, I think we are rating it high. It's below 3.
In totality.
In totality. Or the performance has just deteriorated. And in the country, everybody can see. You can see the state of our water supply or in most places. Recently now in Potchefstroom, going at the university had to shut down for some few days because there was a problem of water. So it was for the first time that happened. And I believe that this is not the first time that issues of water were discussed. There was another discussion that was held through Radio Solargrense, and one of the ANC members indicated that apparently maps were stolen when the ANC took over around Potchefstroom. So they don't have maps. So it's difficult for them to replace broken pipes. But that is a recommendation, Lillian. There's no way. Action SA is doing something about such issues. We are here to fix.
I wanted to ask you about that.
We are here. Our aim is to fix. That is why we are hands-on. How to Action SA has already submitted a plan our national chairperson, Michael Bimond, has submitted a plan that recommends what is it that should be done. And that plan was submitted on the 18th of April 2024 to Rand Water. Now, in terms of this plan, Action SA recommended that something must be done. And because of that, the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation got worried and made a recommendation that unless phase 2 here, Lesotho, was it Highlands water project is being completed, Kanako, re tlo gonna le problem ya water shutdown in South Africa. Project e bereka ya project e ke leng gore go dirwa di dams and then go dirwa le was it tunnels that would channel water from Lesotho to South Africa. But then if the project is not completed on time, you're going to be faced with problems. So you can just ask yourself, a simple resource as water is short. After 30 years of democracy, I'm talking about just water, not talking about other issues. Because more Action SA, we don't talk things that we don't see. We even visit sites, we talk out of evidence. I can cite a lot of examples where ANC has failed, but I know that today the focus of the discussion is all about infrastructure and it's all about water. So I don't want to deviate.
Okay.
But at times I think I also need to just remind you, Jorge, we are focused. We are sitting with priorities as Action SA. Jorge, these are our priorities, and these priorities are within our manifesto. So thank you very much. I won't elaborate much,
okay,
so that we can be able to give other people.
And you are saying for Democratic Alliance to give African National Congress 3.
I think that it is a high score for me.
Okay,
we should get below 3.
Mr. Kurulas, your response, I believe, you managed to take points from the 3 parties here. But you are talking about the braveness, like of African National Congress, to say 70% of people are still believing in us, and Action SA mentioned the challenge of water, that we know it's a problem across the country. What are your responses?
Okay, let me deal with the first one, not the first one, the last one, the one of the challenge of water in Northwest. Let me deal with JB Max, because we are from JB Max. I think so. In JB Max, there's no problem with water.
At all.
There's enough water. The problem is gravity in JB Max. Gravity means that the level that water comes in, that is why you'll find in certain sections there's always water, while in other sections there's no water. Your upper sections will always have a challenge, because there you need to pump water, whilst water flows naturally to the other sections. So the water challenge that we had at the site of the Northwest, that whole area was, I think, for 3 days. There was forced maintenance.
But 3 days, it's a lot.
No, it was forced maintenance that was supposed to happen. But there was also water tankering to substitute for the interim, because it was not something that was permanent. It was only to repair a pipe. I think it was at the at the airport, the field there, underground. It was more than 12 meters, and that cost a lot of the time for our officials to ensure that they repair that one.
And did you manage to?
We managed to do that. It is fixed now. The water levels, the mayor is very hands-on on the issues of water. He have daily meetings to check the levels of water. He can tell you now, if you can call him, that water now is 41% on at which what you call this thing, because we've got a lot of.
Mr. Kurulas, you can't even, put these things in order. You can't even be
No.
clear. Just to explain the issue that was raised by Action SA, just to say, yes, we had a challenge. The challenge was for 3 days, and this is what we did.
Yeah, but the problem was resolved. So it's not that it's a challenge that is daily there, or weekly, or monthly.
Is it something that is...
That was a forced maintenance. They had to fix a pipe.
Okay.
So that is the one that I think I must explain to you. We must have the same conversation after the elections, so that those ones who said this is a pipe dream of us having that 3% is too much for us. I can guarantee you, we are not going to have less than 60% in this election that is coming. The last
elections... Are you
elections,
talking about the Northwest Province? Are you talking about nationally?
I'm talking about the Northwest Province. National, I can also talk about national.
And what are you basing that information on? The confidence, that confidence.
The confidence that we have.
Saying it in confidence.
I said it in confidence, yes. Because our approach is we knock on every door to check out on our voters, all the voters' rolls. We check all the voters.
So does knocking on each and every door means that whoever that you left there, that you spoke with, he or she will definitely vote for African National Congress come the 29th of May?
That's why I said 70% will tell you that they are strong ANC. But I also said to you, our results will not be less than 60%.
Okay.
So
let me just note that one.
Yeah.
Your results will not be less than 60%.
Yes, in this province.
Okay. Rechachu, Democratic Alliance.
Yes,
the EFF.
LILLIAN, I'm one person. I believe in talking facts. I don't talk general issues. Just to elaborate on the shortage of water. For an example, out of this town, out of this district, you go to Madibeng municipality. There's also a problem. Also, it's a problem in Brats. The problem it's also water shortage. But as you could see, this problem can be contained because in terms of the report, municipal report, 2.7 billion was spent irregularly. Remember, if it's not spent in terms of the policies, because the Municipal Finance Management Act says that there should be accountability, and there is no accountability. You know, the ANC is not taking any responsibility. Things are not being done properly. And we also understand that they've got a serious challenge. Their challenge is that they don't have people that can properly, manage, because of the fact that the deployment of people with skills are actually creating problems. So at the end, but suffer on the ground. So because of that, water is life.
Action SA.
So Action SA, now we are saying, we are hands-on on that matter.
Okay.
Of water. We have already done something about it.
You are on the ground.
The 13th April, we have already submitted a plan, a recommendation to water. What is it that can be done to deal with the problem of water shortage?
All right.
So that's what we are doing. So we are saying people must vote for us because we want to fix the problems that we are having in South Africa. We don't promise people things that we cannot achieve. We promise people things that are there, infrastructure that need to be taken care of. As I've indicated, LILLIAN, there is a call for ANC to invest in new pipes. Every time when there's pipes steady to be filled, they don't replace them. For an example, if you also go to Matlosana municipality, Kotlekstop, there's a street where there's a leakage under a tree. And that has been happening for more than a month. And the next street, not far from there, there is also a leakage from a tree, and the municipality is not fixing that problem. So because of that, yes, for a pressure, in a there should be shortage of voters. So that's the problem.
a re ko gore se itlholo morago ga re se itlholo ke batla re ya ka ko economic freedom fighters ke batla le re ne selebo o ne moretsi selebo se leng gore se tlhakile sa mathata a leng teng mo provinceng ya Northwest. By the way, ra itse gore le gone jaanong ntse re bona Rustenburg e na le matsapa le yone ntse go buiwa ka ntlha e leng gore ke mathata a metsi ka ko re se itlholo re ne re bua ka dipalopalo go sa le gale ga re simolola go bua ka fa re ke tsa gore ka dumelana gore go nnile le kwelo tlase ka mokgo baagi ba tsibogileng ka teng mo lekokong la Democratic Alliance re bapisa 2014-2019 mathata ke eng se le gore batho ba ne sengaletse thata jana mo DA
tla ke dumele gore tota dipalopalo di ile ya go tlase. I think we lost about 400,000 votes at the time,
and it's a lot.
It's a lot, of course. It's a lot. Me a re lebelle gore go diragetse morago ga gore re mo tlase ga khatello e kalo mo batlhophing ba rona ba lekoko la DA. You'll remember that yo ene le moeteledipele ka nako eo Mosimane o ile a commissioner an internal investigation le gore e tla batlisisa gore ke eng se le gore se ka tswa se diregile seo le gore se dirile gore re latlhegelwe ke ditlhopho, which was the first time, by the way, in 1994 that the Democratic Alliance had lost the elections. You'll remember in 94 we contested those elections as the Democratic Party motasga boeteledipele jwa ga Tony Leon, and then later became Democratic Alliance ka the year 2000. So it was the first time in general elections that we had lost votes, which rendered then that process necessary. That process obviously came up with a number of recommendations. One, it was that the leadership we must go to an early Congress, where then the leadership must be re-elected, or so that our federal Congress, which is the highest decision-making body in the DA, can then give that particular leadership a new mandate. There are a number of mistakes that were made. One, our messaging, our inconsistency, and I suppose by and large the ability to want to, almost sort of like make everybody happy in our messaging, which was something that was obviously wrong. But I mean, you saw Kadi with by-elections that had been happening across the country, we had been faring very well. Our growth has been very steady. The latest polls by the Social Research Foundation is putting us at about 25% of this particular national and provincial elections. So we are recovering. We are in the road to recovery, and I believe that we have done very well in as far as making that happen, because we've held successive congresses where we've elected leadership that will be able to take the party forward. And I think, well, certainly, our own internal polling is putting us at about 25% as well, which is in relation to the Social Research Foundation's own polling. So we are confident that we'll be able to grow. Once again, we are confident that we'll be able to retain the Western Cape, because we are squeezing quite a number of parties. But essentially, at the end of the day, LILLIAN, it's about really the multi-party charter that we've put forward to say the time for the ANC is done. What is it that we can do as political parties, opposition parties? You'll remember that analysts have often accused opposition parties of bickering with one another as opposed to actually coming together. Now we've got this particular multi-charter coalition of ours that we are working towards. Political parties have put their differences aside. Of course, there are issues that we well, at the end of the day, there is a contract in place in terms of what is it that we want to achieve. Political parties that are in the multi-party charter, they are campaigning. It's not to say campaigning or we are campaigning. No, Action SA campaigner, Democratic Alliance campaigner. After the elections, and we say, right, do we have the requisite number to form a new government 50+1? Or if we don't, what is the best next option? And there is a discussion that can happen only after the 29th of May. And this is something very, it's something that should be applauded, in my view. Because when have you ever seen makoko a farologaneng a di-political party ka di-ideology tsa bone tse di farologaneng ba tla ba dula mo tafoleng ba re a re beeleng dilo tseo mo thoko re lebelele gore re falosa jang naga ya rona ya Aforika Borwa re falosa jang in the context of the Northwest province ya rona e leng gore our health is in dire straits, our infrastructure in terms of roads is in dire straits. Di masepala tsa rona there's no best performing municipality e ka tswa le didika di le tsa rona tsa masepala le di masepala tsa selegae tse di mo tlase ga didika tseo. There's no municipality e le gore e performa at the level e le gore it's acceptable either for investors or for the general public ba e le gore ba dula mo di masepaleng tseo. So it was a bit concerning for me, and ke tsaya gore go na le bareetsi ba ba dulang ko extension 7 ba ba dulang mo Zakhele gongwe ba reditse re a bua wa ANC gore ga gona mathata a metsi mo masepaleng wa rona wa JB Max. Re boele ko baaging ba ko Zakhele re ba botse gore mo ngwageng o fetileng mo councilor ya rona ya Democratic Alliance re Johan Zervik ana tshwanela gore a tseye koloi sejanaga sa gage metsi a gagwe a tshele mo a go neela batho metsi ko Zakhele go ne go diragetseng it was an issue of gravity. LILLIAN, nobody can tell you that after 30 years they don't recognize the challenges that we have in terms of infrastructure. That is why we've got infrastructure maintenance grants that are set aside by municipalities, provinces and national departments in order for them to be able to consistently deal with issue of maintenance. Mafaratlhatlha mo provinceng ya rona ya Bokodi Bophirima ke a bokoa thata a ile gore wa bona gore fa ga gona sepe sentse se diriwa in terms of planning. Ditleliniki tsa rona go di lebella, I mean this clinic e bulwa ko motseng wa Magogong ko Taung e bulwe ka 8 o'clock yo go tswala ka 4 o'clock as if people bana le nako e le gore ba lwala ka yone. Ga o ya go di clinic tseo ga dina metsi ga dina ditlhare dio tse di tshwanang kana le tseo. Those are the issues tse le gore re samagane le tsone mo provinceng ya rona ya Bokoni Bophirima. For somebody to come a blelle moagi wa extension 7 o swantsa tsoge ka 3 o'clock masa ka gore ke yone nako e metsing a tla ba le teng.
Le Carola se a re ga gona bothata ba metsi, there's no problem with water. Matsapa ya go bua mafaratlhatlha o netseng jalo ja ke bone bothata
gongwe go buiwe le baagi ba Zakhele gongwe go buiwe le baagi ba extension 7 ba ile gore ba ntse ba le motlase ga kgetello ya go tlhoka metsi mo dikgweding tse di kana. I mean it's been since last year.
Yes.
Even now with issue re ha bua ka gravity are rai.
All right. No, that Mr. Carolus, he was
what about gravity are
like you are not
so we have for resimolle re bua ka what we see. We have for resimolle ka re bua ka track records, right? The ANC's track record in the Northwest is appalling.
Okay.
Right? And that is the reality.
All right. Ntate Mangaliso ne ke batla gore o tlo re tlhatlhamolele fela o re ne gore matsapa a lona le economic freedom fighters le reng ke ya teng a bonagala ke ya nnete mo province ya Northwest ke ya fe
selebego sa province ya Northwest LILLIAN se tlhabisa ditlhong. I mean water ha re bua ka metsi a ama baagi botlhe ba South Africa, ga ame baagi ba JB Max fela, ga ame baagi ba province ya Northwest, ama South Africa ka bophara. Mo JB Max ra itse gore re na le mathata a metsi, especially ku di extension, and every time go na le mathata a metsi ANC e dirisa their own people for tankering yeo ke tendering yeo ke yone jang tšhelete ya baagi. Nako tse dingwe re na le dipelaelo tsa go bona tsa go belaela gore a tota ga se bone ba sa bothatšang metsi ka bo bone gore ba tle ba kgone go tsaya tšhelete ba e kenya mo dipokotong tsa ditšhomi tsa bone tsa di-family tsa bone, ka gonne issue ya tankering se problem e affecta Northwest, e affecta JB Max Northwest, e affecta the whole country. So rona re le EFF re na le concern ya gore bothata jo jwa metsi re ka bo solve yang. We must save money, we must build capacity ka go builda di dam, we must do away ka tankering because tankering ena ke yone tsa mathata a metsi. The president of the ANC was here last year ka presidential imbizo. He promised the people that there is a new reservoir that is being built in JB Max. We as the EFF councillor went and inspected for that reservoir. I can tell you, it has not even started. Nothing has started, but go stadium a saikageng o promised baagi ba JB Max gore no reservoir eo e fedile e tla re ha ke tswa mona ke le president bo gona le metsi mo JB Max. We went there, that reservoir ha ise start le go start e santsane in its infancy. So the promises tse leng gore di diriwa ke ANC mo baaging ba rona ke di promises tse leng gore they are not achievable. ba dula ba bolela batho ba rona maka ba dula ba tshosetsa batho ba rona gore ga le sa vote le ANC ga le tlo go benefita 1 2 3 4, which is not true. The ANC has reached itself by date. Nako ya ANC, I mean, ha baagi ba go file 30 years ba go file tshepo wa bone in 30 years, country ya rona e bele the way in a disaster that is in. Baagi wa ba tshwanetse ba go fekang sengwe because example ke gore in Africa all these so-called liberation movements by 25 years in power ba reacha their sell by date, ba simula ba nna di dictator, ba simula ba utwa ditšhelete, corruption ya go godimo, ba kenya ditšhomi tsa bone, ba kenya di-family tsa bone mo mesebetsing, ga gonne le mesebetsi. Unemployment is very rife in South Africa, especially for the youth. Re na le problem ya gore youth ya rona gona is affected by drugs. It is because of the out of frustration. Batjha ba rona ba na le frustration ya gore ha ba kry mesebetsi, ha ba tshwanetse ba go batla mesebetsi ko masepala ba bolela gore o hira only ANC members, ha e sa hire only ANC members, e hira batho ba e leng gore ba close ke ditšhomi tsa bone, ga e hire batho ba di-political parties tse dingwe. And how the government or you care for all, you can't come and despise others, o tla o tshosetsa ba bangwe, o tla o promise only by leng gore wena wa barat. So ANC has reached by itself by date. It must be removed from power. Okay. There's nothing that it can do that is better in 30 years time. So selebo sa country ya rona is in dire straits.
Mr. Coronas, a lot from the economic freedom fighters tankering, according to economic freedom fighters, that's where now your friends, that's where you are eating as the African National Congress. You are using this tankering to fill up your pockets with money. How do you respond to EFF comments?
You see, if you make these kind of assumptions that everyone is corrupt in the ANC, that is wrong. Because some of us, we are not corrupt. We also served in these governments. We was never corrupt. We served with diligence, and we want to see that every rent must be stretched in where we served whilst we was also in government.
Are you talking out loud about those who are corrupt?
We are talking out loud. We are the mayor fights with officials to purchase rather our own tanks, so that we stop this thing of insourcing. Because these things of insourcing, it also causes sometimes that these contractors, they are the ones who go out there and close the valves, so that there must be a shortage of water.
But what I want to know is that you are saying
so
the mayor is talking loudly with the officials who are not doing their job. Is that what you are saying? Am I hearing you correctly?
You are hearing me 100% correct.
Yes.
The mayor is fighting for us to have our own tanks, so that when there is a challenge of water, we provide it with our own internal sources. It's not so. If we was corrupt, we could have leave it so that it must carry on. We are not happy with how it's being done. The dam is one of that reservoir that they are building there is one of the resources that's going to also actually stop the challenge of water.
When?
As soon as it's complete, I think it will be completed by 2026.
2026.
Yeah, people
will still have challenges. I mean, it's April 2024, 2025, 2026. Okay, 2026. When in 2026?
I can't give you specific dates, but those are just projections by the contractors that's doing the job. So, from our side, we are against any form of corruption. Water tankering, even the issue of patching of potholes. Potholes was done when the wind blows, then the potholes is back again. That is why we are doing it ourselves, to stop these things of outsourcing jobs that you can do.
We are still going to talk about the state of roads, by the way, Mr. Koro.
Jobs
Let's,
that
let's just pack that one a little bit.
Jobs that we can do for ourselves. But I want to emphasize the fact that these parties who are saying that we are losing support, not one of them is bold enough to say that they will get more than 50%.
Well, we left that part of support. We spoke about the support part when we got it. They are now talking about issues on the ground, to challenges of water.
Yeah.
That's basically what we are talking about now.
Yeah, I'm coming to that, but I also respond to what the DA was saying.
Okay.
Because it was raised here.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why they all gang up against the ANC. The ANC is the only organization that is contesting elections. The others, they are contesting the ANC. You listen to them. There's no one who can say that they are contesting elections to win this election.
Is this multi-party shaking the African National Congress?
Not in any way.
Shaken?
Not in any way.
Okay.
Not in any way. Even if they are funded by imperialists, we are not being shaken by them.
Okay.
There's no way that they will get us below 50%. There's no way that they will get us national below 50%. That will never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Not now.
Okay.
And you can invite us after the elections again so that we confirm. But like I said, the issue of water tankering, we have experienced it. They said in Madibeng, even councillors was involved in that. We was against it. Those are the things that we are fighting. That is why some of them, they leave the ANC. Then they said we are splintering. It's part of cleansing the ANC. It's part of renewal. When those ones who are not happy with how we are conducting things presently in the ANC, that's why they leave and go to form their own parties.
Okay. Are you fine? Have you responded to all the pointers before I go to other political parties? Then we go to
I want to, this one of the 2.7 billion on irregular expenditure. And that Chachu was not specific. Is it in the province or is it local? Where the audit.
Okay, let me ask him to note it, and when I give him an opportunity, he will elaborate more on the
but the nature of irregular expenditure, it's irregular if you don't follow the prescripts of the law. But sometimes it doesn't say the job was not done. It's when they sign environments, they bypass the regular process, which I think is not a good financial practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why the Auditor General make an expression on those kind of things that's happening within the finances. But if you can be specific, if it's in the province,
I wanted to get there, but does it matter whether it's provincial, whether it's national? The issue is the fact that he just raised, or his point, or the part that he was talking about.
You see, when it's local, it's a lot of money. National, it will be lots of departments. If it's in the province, you understand. But it is a lot of money if you don't follow the prescripts of the law. And that is what our officials must just do. But sometimes they don't follow because they said it's an emergency. We need to buy a generator. And there's no time to go out on tender. So you have to flout the process. So it will be recorded as irregular because for an amount more than 200,000 you must go out and tender. You understand? Okay. When you don't do it that way, it's regarded as irregular.
Okay.
No, I get any moon thing. I sort of rahubua the points that are not a whole lot. The Marano Gavona or the Timuaka Fester. Lena, you
I get to how much intended.
It's our I'll check out the trends at the polls, we'll check out the trends at the elections. ha gona mo eleng gore ANC intse e grow at it's going down, go down the spiral. The ANC will only win unless the second Jesus comes. They will never win. Their performance in government since from 1994 up until today is embarrassing, to say the least. So they are not going to win. If you check amongst all the political parties in South Africa, the EFF is the only political party that is growing. Other parties are going down, and we are not going to talk. We are not even scared of them. That is why. That is why.
To win?
Yeah, we are growing. We are fighting. We are always on the ground every day. We are talking to our people. We want to take this government to change the lives of our people. That is why the DA in itself has declared us their number one enemy. Why? Because Babona or EFF ki one e ka kgonang go ba shutisa as the number two biggest political party in the country. That is why by to these smaller parties to source their votes, their numbers, for their multi-pack, because all of them are supported or are sponsored by imperialists. They are supported by white monopoly capitalists, and we as the EFF, we are supporting ourselves.
Okay.
Yes, as an incoming government, and we can prove that when we get into power like we are doing in Ekurhuleni, we are going to perform very well for our people. Our people are going to be very happy if we, as the EFF, take power. So there's no such a thing that the ANC is going to get 50+1. Even some of the polls say the DA are lies, because they want to manipulate the people of South Africa to say no, the DA is getting 25%. How can other parties go down and the DA is always going, is always remaining? They have reached remaining at the same spot. They have reached their ceilings, the DA. They know they have lost the support of black people, because the DA is a white party that protects white people. It does not care about black people. It's just using black people as guinea pigs.
Democratic Alliance MK party
we regard Umkhonto Wesizwe as a left-leaning party that does not practice neoliberalism, neopolitics that are practiced by the DA and the ANC. They are protecting white people's interest in terms instead of making sure that black people, as the majority in this country, are well taken off. So MK, any left-leaning party that comes to board, that wants to work with the EFF, we are going to welcome it. If we are to work with the ANC nationally, the ANC will have to agree with what we put in the table, because we have 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars that we are not going to move away from that.
Okay.
The other day, we wanted to give the ANC our support so that they could have a 2/3 majority to expropriate land without compensation. What did they do? They turned their blacks on black people.
Okay. Re tla mo go yona ntleo re tšhatšo ke tlo go nna tshono re be re ya go baretsi ba rona go botlhokwa thata gore re ne baretsi ba rona tshono re ne baagi tshono ba gore ba bue le lona ba gone go ka le botsa dipotso. Re mo metsetsong ke le 22 morago ga ura ya borobongwe mo stationeng sa Ganang FM 90.0 mo go re ya tswelela ke letsatsi la boraro ke na le makopo a sepolotiki ka fano le koko la African National Congress Economic Freedom Fighters Democratic Alliance le koko la Action SA ke bone baeng ba rona. Pele re ya go gona moretsi ntate tšhatšo Mr. Karura Sikafa are yo o bua ka ntlengwe fela o bua ka ntlengwe fa ke tsa go ntse mo reditsa ke
Yes, Lillian.
itse bogele ka bonako
Ke ntse ke mo reditse very carefully. I think maybe I need to repeat myself. Here we are talking about water infrastructure. That is what we are referring to. For in Madibe municipality, in Brits, there is a problem of water shortage. And the reason why, it is because money is not channeled properly. There is high expenditure within the municipality. There is an expenditure of 2.7 billion that was spent irregularly in the financial year 2022 to 2023. Remember, the municipality financial year it does not if like end of June.
Yeah.
And then they will, it's either they apply for roll-ups, or if they don't apply for, then the money must be returned to Treasury. But the money was not spent in the proper way. So that's basically what I'm trying to say. I'm answering the ANC.
Golo o bua ka tiriso e botlhaswa ya ledi.
Yeah, money was not spent properly. Kana ha re bua ka irregular expenditure, we bua gore tšhelete e nngwe might have been used for other projects instead of being budgeted the proper way. So in that way, it's a misconduct because go na le Municipal Finance Management Act, and it runs along Public Finance Management Act, and each and every institution of the state, because it's the law of the country, they must adhere to those financial management policies. And the ANC is failing to adhere to those kind of policies. And then moving to another point that the EFF has raised, to say EFF is the only party that is growing. I disagree.
You beg to differ.
I differ because Action SA was established in 2020, and then we participated in 2021 elections. You can see our president, Remen Mashaba, managed to get a majority, and he was in the control of the municipality in Johannesburg. Now, the issue here is that it shows now that we are growing, because Action SA now, for the first time in its history, we are going for provincial and national elections, and we are sure because there is a sign or an indication in terms of the statistics, or Action SA is among the growing parties. So definitely, Northwest, we are going to appear victorious.
Okay, and ke tsa go raya le ke tsa gore dipholo tse di tla tswang ka moraga di 29 ke tsone tse di tla re kaela kgotsa go totobatsa se ileng gore wa se buang tate Chachu. Ha ke batla tlogele baretsi ba rona ka kwa morago ke bona baagi ba rona ke bona batho ba tsantseng ba ye go le tlhopa ka di 29 tsa kgwedi ya May a re baneng tsono le tlo gore bone ba re ba batla go le botsa dipotso tse di fe ke itse go na le dintlha tse makoko a mang Democratic Alliance ke itse go na le tse o batlang go ka tsiboga mo go tsone ke tla go nela tsono ke kopa fela o dinopole 060573 1313 0605731313 ke dinomoro tse leng gore o ka re letsetsa mo go tsone a re tle ka fa Aganang FM dumela Aganang dumela Aganang FM dumela okay moretsi o dumetse fela ga di sete 0605731313 0605731313 ke dinomoro tsa mogala mo nomorong ya rona ya WhatsApp ke 0640912155 ke mo o ka romelang di voice note tsa gago gone a re utlwe ka fa Aganang FM dumela Aganang FM dumela alright a re dire jana a re ye ko di voice note a re yang ko baretsi ba rona ba ine gore ba tshwaela ka mokgwa wa di voice note ka kwano le tle gore o moretsi ya reng
o spina dumedise le bang ba go ka mo o spina mo tsela mantaka ke le ka botsa ba tšha bana ba le teng ka mo dipoto tse di rileng ba tla go ka banka ba ne ka ga bita ba tsa bona ya no ke botsa ba golwane mo go bona o spina go mo informal settlement mo di informal settlement ke batla go botsa gore ba golo ka mo ga ba dira di campaign go tla dira di door-to-door tsa bone ba di dira hela go di plekeng tse leng gore di formalized ya ka go bo ikageng go bo mohading promoter go bo kae because of mo dulang teng mo Zania Vili mona ga ise ke re bone any political party e tla ka mo tlo go sheba gore mata rona ke eng so now ba reng ka di problem tse di mo bo di informal settlement ba tlo di solve ba tlo sorta auto yang gona jaanong jana ga rena metsi ga tlo bo ma 3 days ka bo dira 4 days re sena metsi ka sontaga metsi ile atla but ga metsi wa tla ka sontaga ba ka la gore motlhopho ga se ba gore re tla dira dikhudi go ka metsi a tlile ka sontaga le gore nna le 7 days before a tla ka sontaga so re nagana motlhopho ka la go tlile teng ba lula wa tla a ditshwa metsi a tlileng jaanong ka tla go itse go di plant tsa bone ka di informal settlement ke eng because of the problem le mo informal settlementing, the problem ha di go di formal settlementing. The voters di tla teng mo di informal settlementing, a di tla go di formal settlementing because of go le communication go di tropong kae go batho teng developed. So batho teng wa voter ga vote ga na taba ka go iperekela we etsang. So lo le high rate ya unemployment mo di informal settlementing. High rate ya di no services mo di informal settlementing. So ke ba bla gape le ntwe no se ka re le 3 days re sena metsi bone as political parties di karabela ka gore ke Charles Lekgetho mo Azania Village ka leboga.
Alright, re le bogatata Charles re tla bana tsono ya gore ba tsibogele dipotso tsa gago 0605731313 a re le ke moretsi gape ka fa bogaleng re tla rutla a ganang FM dumela madumera
ke ne ke batla go botsa twa de kokola la ANC le lusa.
okay
Ya utla gore ntse ba tlhalosa mo gore ba dirile eng ne ntse ba go dira eng. Ya me ke batla go tlhaloganya ka gore go na le ntho e ntshwenya ja ka mo afi wa mo extension 7 e le kganya gore ke na le dingwaga tse tharo ile ra tsa sekolo sa bofo ke na le crisis ya metsi ntho ga se gore bile ke simola go ikwa go mpione ke na le dijara tse ke bua ebile ne ke setse ile ano ke tshwana le gore ka mogwe gore santsi ba itse gore ne re ha ba mpona ba ba reo ba tsa go regala metsi ntlha e nngwe ne ke batla go itse ka bonako ke ya gore ke a utlwa ka gantse ba bua yana ba go na le ntho nngwe e ya mabone a tukang 24/7 ba ke a utlwa gore gape go na le bothata ba lontšhedi ka le ha motlaka sekotla mabone a a tula a ntse a tuka ene ya se se botlhoko go gore ke na le leadership ha ke gore bana ke tlo beina babereki gore ba dira mosebetsi ka ga ba kra go go tswa go leadership ya ke batla go itse ka ba le bona ba feta mo dikishimo tshwana ba bona ba bona re na tuka 24/7 mara ga go na le haele go mo tshenyega ka tabe ya gore a time na bona ka bana ebile ba ga di approve a tuka go feta ba bona a utlhana ga shule bona na ke le mabona na ka shule ka di approve strata tse dingwe di bua go dingwe go tsama mo go tsone mo go le tiki le tsosang ke ditsikile ga ba bo ba tswa go tswa dira la ga le phata tse di tlileng le tse ba go so le ke na go go le tsenta tse ka ka mo wa le kokola agency ka mo la tshuka ka ya le bo
re ya le bogatata ra iso tla retsa mo radio nga ke thank you Stone re ya le bogatata. Alright, o dira jalo mo gaitse mo nomorong ya 0605731313 re mo metsotsong ile masoma mabedi le borbedi pele ga ura ile ya borbedi mo stationeng sa ganang FM 90.0 a re go utlwa moretsi o mong ka fa mogaleng ka fa a ganang FM dumela
le ka sita
re tele ka era
re teng ke Samuel Brown mo Centerstop
re go amogetse
ke gore tse online a ke ne go ka gore ntate wa ANC ntate motona a sa tla a bua tsotsi di tshedisiwo rona ke go bua ke sile Centerstop re na le mathata a metsi number 1 for 15 years mo ke dilang teng mo go sena metsi le nako e re metsiwa le poch a zanke re ntse re complain ka metsi a zanke tlopwe ka media wole ra thusa ka se ha bayo they are nowhere to be found re bona di traka fela tsa metsi tse le go ha di consistent ene kanya di traka e ke temo ke permanent solution ha sa tlhola le temporary solution. Number 2 re na le problem ya keyboard theft mo Centerstop wa bona thuliso ha re ka tsoga ka moso mo ka se go lo ka 4 o'clock se se be maobane ke keyboard theft every day every one day ke bule mo Centerstop ba ye sambone as ANC because ke bone ba rana municipality gore taba tse di shota bo keyboard theft ba e tsanka tsona a ba awena ya le bogamme
thank you right o le bogile o tla retsa ke re mo se le mo ntsa gago thank you. All right, Mr. Corellis, let me start with you. Two callers, Stone from the Extension 7. He's talking about the lights that like all night, the whole night they are on, and there's nothing that the municipality is doing about that, while other people are without electricity. And a community member from Vennersdorp, he says, you know, what you just explained with regards to water, it's not true at all. and there's no consistency with regard to tankers that you bring in Ventersdorp, as well as a challenge of cable theft. How are you assisting them?
Okay. Thank you once again.
Can you just put the mic a little bit higher?
Okay, like that.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Now, on Ventersdorp, I agree there is a challenge of water in Ventersdorp. I was referring to Potchefstroom because in Potchefstroom there's 3 flows of water that comes into Potchefstroom.
So there's a challenge of water in Ventersdorp.
Yes, and it's also because and sometimes also because of cable theft. Because cable theft, when there's no electricity, the generator must kick in, and then.
And how is it being addressed?
It's the only way that we are addressing it presently is through tankering.
But he says there's no consistency. The problem is that there's no consistency.
If there's no consistency, then it's something that we must take up with the officials and the executive, so that they ensure that, because water is life.
So is it the first time that you are hearing about this?
No, I know, that's why I said I know that there is a challenge of water, but not so severe that there is every day no water, because there is an alternative, and the alternative is the tankering in Ventersdorp. And we are not happy with the issue of tankering. That is why the mayor was insisting on the issue of buying your own water tanks, so that you don't need to in-source this thing of tankering. A headache is cable theft in Ventersdorp, and it's only from one area, the area between on the Lichtenberg Road and Ventersdorp. It's a headache.
But what is the permanent solution then? What is it that you are busy with, which is a permanent solution to these challenges that the listener from Ventersdorp just spoke about?
On the issue of
in fact, he said 15 years, it's been 15 years they've been living in these conditions of this challenge of not having water.
In all the areas where there is no water, in most cases, sometimes you'll find people put themselves on that area. They are not put there by the municipality. And you'll find on that area where they are, the area is maybe dolomite, it's the dolomitic. You can't develop them there. But you can't remove them until you have identified a suitable area.
I think the caller will have to call again just for him to confirm if perhaps he's staying in an informal settlement or not.
Yeah.
Can I come in?
But on that thing of the informal settlements, in JB Max we are sitting with I've got the total here.
We will come to that. We will come to that,
43 informal settlements.
Yes, we will come to that, Mr. Corolas. We are still going to talk about informal areas and what is it that you are doing to deal with 45. It's a lot. It's a lot. Do you agree that it's a lot?
It is a lot.
Okay.
It's 43 to be exact. But there was a profiling on those.
We'll come to that. Let's give other parties a chance to respond.
Yes, LILLIAN, from what I've been listening to in terms of Mr. Samuel Brown, what he's been saying, he never actually indicated for the squatter settlement, but he spoke of the whole of Ventersdorp, or the whole of Ventersdorp is affected. So it means that Ventersdorp is it as a whole in a matter of you know, for 15 years, that's half of the was a ruling period of the ANC. For 15 years, people cannot get water. I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame. And the EFF has indicated now that the president was here some time ago in Potchefstroom, and he promised that there will be an erection of a reservoir, and nothing has taken place. So the ANC is promising people things, and those things are not being done. That's why people are so bitter. There is no service delivery. You cannot, in a country like South Africa, you cannot supply people water with trucks. You cannot do that. It's a shame. I mean, really, it's completely unacceptable.
Okay, moagi o buile a tswa ko Azaniaville. Tla ke ne Democratic Alliance tsono ba tsiboge ke tsa gore o inopotse le wena ka gore potso e tota ene ya ko makokong motlhe a sepolotiki gore mano a lona le makoko a sepolotiki your plans about informal settlements ke eng ka gore a re ba tlhophi ba tswa ko it seems like go ka moretsi focus it more on areas mo ene gore batho le ge ba lla gore di pothole fa le lefana fela bone ba mo maimong a le gore ga bana motlakase ga bana metsi Democratic Alliance
LILLIAN re ke go leboga o tla gopola gore mo ngwageng mo fitileng ka March ya ka moleloko wa parlamente ke tseile tshwetso ya go ka romela petition ko parlamenteng go samagana le kgang ya Marikana informal settlement. Now I agree go ka tswa re ise re itle ko moretsi ya leng teng but ke tse ke lwantshana le kgang ya Marikana o tla gopola gore Marikana almost 10 years ago the South African Human Rights Commission e neelane ka report ya gore masepala o swantse a tsibogele ditlhokego tsa kgelelo leswe metsi le the overall formalization ya Marikana almost 10 years ago. There is something e le gore ga ya diragala ka 2023 ka September the Portfolio Committee of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs e kopane go ka samagana le petition e ke rometseng ko parlamenteng gore the municipality e ga jana le JB Max at the time in the local city council e kgone go ka adhere to the recommendations tsa the South African Human Rights Commission. Go tlisa botlhoko gore mo kopanong eo it was the acting municipal manager wa JB Max on attending meeting without any politician, mayor, MMC, nothing. At the provincial level, there was some acting person on attending the meeting. The concluding remarks from the acting MM, wa Masipala wa JB Max, he will draft a report that they will then submit to the Secretary of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, highlighting some of the short-term measures that they are going to put in place in order to be able to provide certain basic services for informal settlement in area American. I can tell you now, as I sit here with you, not a single report has been sent by the acting municipal manager or JB Max to the Portfolio Committee or Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. There's not a single attempt to provide any temporary basic services informal settlement in area American. Let me go further. As we are building up to the elections of 2021, allegedly the councillors of ANC when the court decided and said you have to move there because it's farmland, this agricultural land. What happened? Masipala o tsibogile ka bonako a dirang a go kolomaka ko morago kwa dasiranta kwa motseleng ya promoter on the other side goreng gore a ntshe batho ba go a beisekwa. Whereas baagi ba Marikana ba santsane ba emetse gore bone go adhere to the recommendations of the South African Human Rights Commission ya go formalize Marikana gore Marikana eventually all 1,200 households isimulle go ka nna le ditsela simulle go ka nna le kgelelo leswe isimulle go ka nna le metsi isimulle go ka nna le motlakase.
Are you following up on that the report e leng gore ke eo tshepiso e dirilweng mo gare ga kopano eo are you following up on that if a ka e kgang eo ga re bua jana?
There's absolutely no response. There's no response from the municipality. Advocate Hans-Yuri Mollman ya ka yo reteletseng pele mo kgakaseng ya JB Max ya DA ontsa kwala dipotso towards the administration ga gona ope o araba. And it's something e le gore re setse re tlwaetse go bua nnete. I mean, I've submitted over 9 petitions to Parliament on issues of roads, on issues of health, on issues of safety in terms of police. There's absolutely nothing that is forthcoming from the government. Ke ditshepiso fela gore re tla go baakanya police station e re age sesha sepodisi se gone go simolla re tla make sure go di bora contract ba simolla go bereka mo tseleng. These are all promises tse le gore di a diriwa ke lekokolo le busang, whether it is by their politicians or whether it is by the administrators themselves. Ga gona sepe se se diragalang se le gore rona yaka, because you'll ask a question ya gore ki dira eng ya nna ya ka member of parliament ya ba motho e le gore ke motsa molao le nna. And these are the steps that we can do, limited as they are, to submit the petitions to raise issues tse le gore the informal settlements mushroom largely because there are ward councillors who have got ward committees who are not observant in terms of what is happening within their area of jurisdiction. Every informal settlement runya out of frustration. The former Moscow there are those everybody is just desperate for a piece of land. Because once Umubamo standing, a lot of people begin to build for themselves.
So what needs to be done?
Well, what needs to be done is proper planning. And 90% of services, they are underground. So you can't now say you are going to allow people to be in informal settlements in perpetuity and that you're not going to offer them any services, none whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, there are 45 or 46 informal settlements. It is unacceptable. Businesses are not coming to Potchefstroom. Companies are closing down. Ordinarily, these are young people that are moving away from distance. Masipala is unable to forecast. There is a policy concept which we call forecasting. A government has to be able to plan ahead. All of these infrastructure issues, these are all things that government has failed to actually plan for. It's the same reason as to why we have load shedding. You'll remember in the early 1990s, there was a report that was written by engineers to say, if you do not plan for the building of these particular power stations during Thabo Mbeki's tenure, by the way, during Thabo Mbeki's tenure, you are going to find yourself in a situation where they put a moratorium on the building of Kusila and Midupi at the time. So what we are talking about here, Ospina, is a capable government that is able to plan ahead, that is able to say, if we are bringing investors here, if we've got people that are going to set up companies, the eventuality is that there are going to be more people who want to come here. Why? Because there are job opportunities. There are 150,000 people who go to the city of Cape Town every year. They are seeking for job opportunities. Why? Because the city is better run. That is why you find informal settlements that are building on top of railway lines. That is why you find people occupying privately owned land and so forth and so on. This is pure desperation. Why? Because municipalities are working and therefore people move where work is.
And the city of Cape Town. The informal settlements tse leng gore le go teng di a mushroom letsatsi re ka re nako le nako re bona melelo ka ntlha ya gore ba ka tsela e leng gore baagi ba tshela ka yone thata jang resitulo go the black community.
Well, let's look at the reasons why. And it would be myopic of anybody to think that the city of Cape Town doesn't work for this group or for that group. I give it a guy. Go Bailing Park, we've got 100% of those particular residents who pay their services towards the municipality. That is why Obonan, those boards are going to pay your rates and taxes, do the right thing and whatnot and whatnot. But they are formalized. Refuse collection, right? Those 100% contributions of rates and taxes, they subsidize lower income houses. And that is precisely what is happening in the city of Cape Town. Those Camps Bay, your Lendetno and whatnot, those people who pay thousands of rands per month towards services, those services are rendered directly towards the communities that need those the most. Let me give you a fair example, and perhaps you'll forgive me if I have for Kebal. The city of Cape Town infrastructure spend over the next 3 years, starting 2023-2024, will be bigger than the city of Johannesburg and the city of eThekwini combined at the same period. Because the city of Cape Town realizes that you can't stop people coming to the city of Cape Town, but you can be able to plan for it. Regardless of how it's going to look and all of that, you're not going to get rid of informal settlements.
Now the informal settlements.
Right. Now, one of the things in order to, I don't want to deal with the issue of water tankering because it's not a solution. You could, in an event, informal settlement, put communal taps. Communal taps that are not 2 kilometers away from the communities, right, as a temporary measure. The second thing is, once you decide to masipala go ka tlhoma dipale tsa motlakase in informal settlements and give people dikarata tsa bone tsa motlakase so that they can equally contribute towards the increase of rates and taxes in the municipality, whilst you work on a plan of how to say, a re lebelle example ya ko Moscow, ha go ne go ntshiwa batho ko Moscow ba isiwa ko Zakhele a few years ago, ga go nna le a plan by the municipality to say, once we move these people here, re dira eng gore go ska nna le ba bang ba ba tsenang gape. Right? It means that sometimes, unfortunately, you need to be able to provide security to say, remember, we're moving these people here, settlementing area, and that we need security here for a certain amount of days so that we formalize this particular area. Once you are formalized, then you can move away. There's no need for security, there's no need for anything else. Mariano Uspina, problem they still don't have access to sanitation. Or certain parts of Zakhele don't have access to sanitation. The toilet tamisima.
Kabaka na tsono le a go dirang se se farela le a go simolla fa kae gore e bile tsamela na gape le go sireletsa seriti sa batho ba ine gore ke bone ba tla ba tlhopa ka di 29 tsa mo.
Hospina, I've often said gore black people are not beggars. All they are asking is that puso e ba nele di tshwanelo tsa bone kana e dire se e le gore constitution kana molaotheo o ba mandate gore ba se dire. Nela batho ditirelo and see that people can actually build their own houses. That's it. It's as simple as that. Oh my goodness, we are poor. No. People have said, give us an opportunity, give us land, give us access to services. Before Major Potchefstroom was one of the highest rate and tax collecting municipalities in the country. Because the rates and taxes. So you need to be able to look at ways in which you can identify land that can be surveyed, where an environmental impact assessment can be done, and is it inhabitable? The same thing at we can ask the question now, where the studies done environmentally to say, yes, we'll give you the green light, you can be able to stay there. And I can guarantee you, 20% Americana at the time when the South African Human Rights Commission did 20% of Marikana in a Dolomitic. Why then did you not move the 20% of people who were in that Dolomitic area? Did a proper study so that you can move those people and then formalize the 80%.
Okay.
LILLIAN ntate wa ko Azania SEFF re tshepisa gore re tla go bua le lona re utlwa ditetlebo tsa lona gore le LILLIAN because
baagi ba batla ditirelo ntate manga
LILLIAN ke go pompe tšhono ya ka ntse o file ntate wa DA tšhono. I'm answering to questions asked ke baagi ba lekeišene. Now I'm taking them from the top to bottom, or I can just switch them around. Ke go pompe tšhono le nna o ska ntsena mo gano ya ka ntse sa tsene re wa DA mo gano ke gone go tlhalosa se ke se tlhalosa and then o tla tla mo botsa dipotso ba tla go botsa dipotso. So ntate wa Azania re tata go lona problem ya lona is the same problem e affectileng batho ba Fentres dopo ya metsi is the same problem e affectang le batho ba di extension tse dingwe mo JB Max ba ba senang metsi is the same problem that is affecting the provincial northwest and the country at large. So it's a very serious problem e re nang le yone. Mariano go tswa ka gore a gona le appetite ya gore a municipality wa local wa JB Max o batla go fedisa mathata a re nang le one a metsi. A municipality o na le keletso kgotsa yone appetite ya gore o batla go fedisa di informal settlements. So if municipality na le appetite o tshwanetse o tseye di nomoro tsa gore lefatshe le re nang le lone mo Potchefstroom ke lefatshe le lekana. Municipality o tlogele go goga maoto ka gore municipality go goga maoto a go tsaya di nomoro tsa gore lefatshe la JB Max ke lefatshe le lekana. Ra lefatshe go bapa le mabapi ha o ya go budi suburbs tsa magwa go Bailing Park ha o ya go tseleng ile ya o ya Carltonville tse leng gore magwa especially ba DA le Freedom Front ha ba batle batho ba bantso ba timela ko mabaleng ao go lefatsheng leo le leng gore ke la municipality. So municipality wa JB Max se o tshwanetseng o se dire o se ile ke gore o tse di nomoro tsa lefatshe o ntshe batho go di settlementeng tsa rona tse leng gore di a siama o plan sentle. That's why ku EFF re bua ka land expropriation without compensation. Re fa batho ba rona lefatshe rona re promise SEFF gore ha re create push or land expropriation. The land belongs to the government, custodian of the state will become the custodian of the land. Ritle go agela batho ba rona matlo a ileng gore ana le 3 bedrooms go go godimo ana le di toilet mo teng because batho ba rona ba tshwanetse ba nne ba gone go nna ba ikgantse ka matlo a ba dulang mo gone ba tlogele go tlhola ba ntse ba ile go dila training ba ile go nageng ba ile go ithusetsa go nageng ba nne le space jarata tsa bone di nne le di space ya ka di jarata tsa mago ko Bailing Park and ha ke ara bantato a DA go na le makgwa ba ile gore ba patele di services. I serve in the council of JB Max. Gona le makgwa ba re itseng gore ba le bone ba utswa motlakase mara nka se khone go bua dilo tsa council tse leng gore tse dingwe a di le gore di public tse dingwe di public mara gona le makgwa ba ileng gore ra itse le malo ba itwa discussing the council gore di business tsa makgwa a feng di sa patele mabone di sa patele di services gona le makgwa ile gore dintlo tsa bone ga di patele di services up until municipality ile one o ikeletsang di investigation tsa one o find out gore gona le batho ba makgwa ba ileng gore west batho ba ileng gore ba serve in the council ha ba patele mabone le bone. So it's not true gore batho ba bantsho ke bone ela ba sa kgone gore ga ba patele di services batho ba bantsho they are being ill treated ke puso ya batho ba bantsho se utlwisa botlhoko. It's against the basic human rights tsa batho ba rona ba bantsho. It's against the constitution gore batho ba rona gone yanong yana ba ba tlhokametse. Omstone o raisitse issue ya mabone e leng gore a dula la itile mo letsatsi le wa bona gore a gona appetite ya gore leadership ya ANC mo municipality e na le keletso ewa ya go leader JB Max. Why ba sa diri sure gore batho ba ile gore ba bereka ka mabone ba tima mabone out to save electricity because we've got that crisis in this country electricity. So issue ya go Ventersdorp is 15 years now. ANC ha e bua gore tla solve mathata e ka se solve ka tankering is just but a short process ya go assist batho ba rona e leng gore it's not sustainable. So go a bontsha gore batho ba Ventersdorp ba neglectilwe ke ANC and batho ba Ventersdorp ba ile gore ba batla di changes. They must vote for a new government e ba e batlang ba ileke ba bone gore government ya EFF e ka se kgone go ba fa ditirelo because what is the problem ka gore batho ba rona ba fe ditirelo is because of keletso le appetite ya leadership ya the ruling party ga bana yone ga ba kgathalle batho ba rona. All they care about is tankering go tsa di chelete ba di kenya mo dipokotong tsa bona. And issue ya Cape Town is neither here nor there. Batho ba bantsho ba sotlega go Cape Town is there, you can go yourself, facts are there. DA does not care about them because ha ke utlwa ntato wa DA a raba gore batho ba bantsho ba dulang go settlementeng tsa di informal settlements tsa go Cape Town ba ba thusa ya. That is why ibile gona no ba batlang issue ya secession ba batlang gore ba kenye di border Cape Town must be a country in itself because they believe for they are superhuman because ke mago. In South Africa ba batla gore bone ba nne le their own country in South Africa because apparently go ya ka bone batho ba bantsho ga ba tshwanela go nna le dio tse dingwe ba fitlhetse mawatle mo ba fitlhetse Cape Town e le ntle naturally so because e ditswe ke ntate modimo mare bone ba batla go etsa ba e dira ya bo ona le dipleke tse gore in South Africa is batho ba bantsho o ka se kgone go ya ka tsone ene di protectwa ke bo man di protectwa ke batho ba ba shweu di protectwa ke bo DA batho makoko a tshwanang le bo DA di protectwa ke makoko a tshwanang le bo Freedom Front plus di protectwa ke bo AfriForum ga ba batle. You can't even go to parties tsa mawatle a mangwe in South Africa. Why can't you go to the sea and just go there because ke metsi fela wa kreile mo ba dirile di private property. So it's unfair the way batho ba rona ba treatwang ka teng mo South Africa.
Isiame re Mangaliso.
Isiame.
Okay, are go ba retsi marona. I'm coming to you Mr. Carolus. Ahana ya fam dumela?
Ma.
Dumela ra?
Asele kae?
Dumela ka ntate.
Ma ke na le matsena go ka mokgatlo o busang wa ANC ma. Not vote for ANC and not look stupid. So ntato go tloga tswa di tendera mo go te go tla kinywa di what you call tsa metsi tse di kinza o di extension o fedile ka ri go feletse ko ka di ko pantato wa ANC a tlhalose gore tendera e go tla se singa yo o tšhelete jibe o go tla se le tega mo tsa extension 11 le a tlhalose ka tsone gore go tsagala ka tsone go so sa se tega mo se le tsone tšhelete tse ni jelo na go ba go tshwetsaneng na. Thank you.
Okay, right. So re le phile thata ke re alright re mo metsotso ke le meraro e dire mebedi metsotso pele ga ura ya borobedi a ke potefela ka bonako
di tshwana le maikutlo a tlileng go tlhagelela fano ke kemo ya moreetsi le maikutlo a gagwe a ganang fm ga itle go rwala maikarabelo kana go ikamaganya le seo moreetsi a tla tshwaelang ka sone a ganang fm mmogo re a tswelela
mo metsotsong e le mebedi pele ga ura ya borobedi a retse moreetsi ka fa a ganang fm dumela
dumela mmedi re siame
dumela raitso
bua di matana mo re tswa mo teng ke ne ke na le potso hela e tshetsana nyana
okay
potso ya ka ya go mokgatlho ona na wa ANC
o re di tsara itse botsa potso
potso ya ka mabapi le what 27 ko matlwana kwana ko matlwana kana na le bothata ba go tlhoka metsi mokhansela a o teng kwa bo etsenetsi a gape a le go mo tsaitile o na le tanka di so matshelo na ga ena a sina le so potso ya ka le gore mmuso ona wa ANC di tseleletse gore dilo tsa go tshwana le tsena ga o ya go di-election tse di massive tse tsa 2024 tsa gore go ka yang gore ba dutse ba matlwa ba tlhoke metsi mme mokhansela a le teng a na le metsi tanka tse 4 mo jareteng mme baagi bone ba sena metsi e le gore mmuso wa ANC di ipoleletse gore ga o tlo go iperekela o le moane go perekela setšhaba sa bogantsho ka ba bua gore bone ke mokgatlho wa setšhaba sa bogantsho yaanong ke ne ke kopana a ipolelele ka bonyela gore ba tlogele ka gore ba bankanye botlhoka jwa metsi joa ka tsela e jwang ko lebeleng le la motlhwang lenano ke lebogile
ke rarane bokgathata kere okay a re pote ka fa di-voice note re utlwe gore baretsi ba rona ka fa ba reng
dumela le borre ba ba ka mo studio ba tla kopa go botsa borre ba di-opposition party mo gore ba re gopotse rona ya ka balatedi ba ANC gore ke neng ga ne go kile go a ntshiwa puo kampo molaetsa o reng ANC a ikena mo pusong within 30 years e tla be kgonne go bankanya dilo tse tsotlhe tsa service delivery tshwanetse di bankanye go tloga ka apartheid go fitlhela ba fetse le service delivery ko tse tsotlhe tse di senyegileng tse tshwanetse di bankanye tse di sentsweng ke apartheid tshotlego ya batho go tlhoka ga mosebetsi kore tse tsotlhe tse di khositsweng ke apartheid so ke kopela ba re fe clarity gore ka jara mang ka gore di mang e go kile ga bua presidente kampo di-MNC ba re within 30 years rona re le ANC a tla be re feditse go bankanya diphoso tse tsotlhe tse di dirileng tse di khositsweng ke apartheid ke a leboga matau ke tla reetsa mo radio ke Makhumalo from Promosa extension 2 wa 13 ke a leboga
okay re lebogile thata maitso ke tlo go le nela tshono ntate Chachu gore le tsibogele dintlha tse tsa baretsi ka gore ke bona ba na le ditshwaelo ka bontsinyana dumela lady P are le baretsi ba ganang FM are my question is to ANC are everything infrastructure collapsed under their watch street lights cables are being stolen parks demolished potholes everywhere. Are they expecting South Africans to go out and vote for them? Are we are sick and tired? DA rescue us, please. From Sai Alikakwa Extension 11. Arboneka fa are madume akanang FM. All right, Arbonefa. Are oh okay. Thank you. Armadume matau ke botsa baeng ba gago gore fa ba fetsa go fenya ba go diragatsa ditsholofetso morago ga sebaka se se kana kang ke batla go utlwa gore sekai keng morago ga kgwedi tse pedi kana morago ga ngwaga ke yan monaisa a le ka kwa Kolobe Street Maganang FM dumela.
Dumelang le ka?
Le ka ra?
Nna ke na le potso for mokhanselara wa PA, for speaker sa PA. O bua ke president student ko what they plan to do ka crime rate which happens to students, because each and every year students are mona because there are no street lights in sections whereby black students stay, but where white students stay and white people stay, there are lights, there are securities who are patrolling. So how are they planning to deal with issues that crime? Because even last year we had the issue of a student being raped because there's no patrolling, there are no lights, there are houses that are abandoned. So how are they planning to fix that? And also to comment on the issue of Cape Town, they must not sing praises about Cape Town. It's the very same thing that they do to Cape Town, to say that they look after the places where white people stay. But when you go to Kairicha, you find there are no service deliveries. People are living with those things of cabbages. So you must not sing praise Cape Town. There's nothing special that they are doing in Cape Town. They are only doing service delivery where white people are staying. They are level.
Okay, Rally Bukatata is again. Otareza Radio. Thank you. Mitsu imene marakoha ura ya borbedi pili ya ko bareti babangwe arisimule fa tla ke ne tsono pele ntate shachu gore o tsene mo go tse o ratang go ditsibogela moreti ya re gore nla akanya gore mo 30 years African National Congress e ka dira dio tsotlhe bona rana marare nya re siame ya no go dira fetse.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Rona as Action SA Renali, our 5 key priorities, it's within our manifesto, which is our guiding document. Should we be in power? This is what we are promising people. Number 1, job creation. Not just temporary jobs that the ANC is actually creating for people. Jobs which takes 6 months and then from there, the same person does not have a job. We are saying real jobs. Action SA is speaking about the creation of 4.8 million jobs that will be created, and we know how we're going to create it. We also speak about the economic inclusivity and economic justice, to say that through the economy we need to work together so that we are able to empower and stimulate the economic growth. And also we speak of the rule of law, because crime is also the cause of a lot of problems that we are having. Collapse in infrastructure. Most of the callers indicated that cables have been stolen as I was listening, and there is no water. In fact, all the people that called, Baba Fonilemo, Baba complaining about the supply of water, and if you look at it, it's because of the fact that cables have been stolen, generators have been stolen. Crime is being committed by people that are in position of power, high-profile people. So because of that, there won't be a rule of law. So we need to do that, make sure that that happens, and also to take care of gender-based violence. To make sure that our women, our children are being protected and they feel free in this country. And the other thing also to make sure that influx of people in our country is properly regulated. It should be in terms of the law and be procedural. So another point, which is the last one, is the load shedding program that has been taking place for a long time. For an example, I just want to point out here from the ANC rep who indicated that most of the problems have been addressed. There was a report, I think last year, where it was indicated by one of the top ANC officials to say load shedding will not be a problem after 2023. And we are in 2024 and we have problems of load shedding. So it shows that really some of the things are things that have been spoken of and they are not taking place. And carefully, all the callers, all of them, caller number 1 from Azanenville, he spoke about water problem. Call number 2 from Apollo, from Extension 7, he also spoke of the water problem. caller number 3, Samuel Brown from Vennesdorp, spoke of the water problem. And also, there is one caller, who's caller number 4, also spoke about the problem of water. So we can see that, and caller number 5, that this is a problem that people are having. So, and also people complain of electricity. So I know that there are other problems, but it seems as if these are basic things that we need for you to cook. Our students must be able to pass. Remember, our metric pass rate is being affected by the availability of electricity. So those kinds of things, we need to make sure that we address them so that people are getting basic services and all that. I know that in the past, the ANC used to boast to say they are looking after the poorest of the poor. And time came when there was this problem of load shedding, and water supply was a problem, and also sewerage reticulation became a problem. That's where now people from the ground, the ANC has been claiming to be supporting and to be looking after, started to complain. And most of the callers who are saying they are sick and tired of the ANC, they are from squatter settlement. They are not from the township. I don't hear any call from a peasant or location. These people are from the squatter settlement. But there's a point that was also raised here of a campaign. I just need to say to a caller more as an who indicated that the visibility, Action SA, was not seen as campaigning there, because he spoke of parties, opposition parties.
Yeah, he spoke across all the parties.
I think I've noted it, will take care of it, because Action SA is taking care of settlement. Like, I think 2 weeks back we were in Dominionville, it's a forgotten squatter settlement, and we are doing something to our communities. On Saturday there will be people will be cooked, food will be given to them, and clothes will be given to such kind of people. So Action SA is not only concentrating on townships and towns, but we also reach out to villages. You go to the rural part of Bojanala, and all that, Action SA is actually there, is collecting all the demands of the people. So we are a party that actually covers all people. Our aim, Action SA, we just want to fix the country. We are not going to promise people things that we cannot do. Simple things like fixing the potholes, you can do that. Like, I don't want to get into other issues, because I believe that we have spoken to the and electricity. So I don't want to get into others like recreational facilities. Let me give it to you.
And hopefully after the elections, you will still give food and everything to these community members.
You know what is our belief as Action SA? We believe for 370, it's no longer 350 now. But by Christ, too little will double it. And we also believe that this NASFAS, this crisis with this NASFAS, we are going to properly regulate NASFAS so that our students are being they are being properly funded. And we also have an opportunity fund as an Action SA in as far as job creation is concerned, where we think that we are going to revive small businesses. We believe that each and every community must have its small industrial site, where people will be given an opportunity to do business. Others can make finishers, others can make can weld and all that. Statistics have indicated that South Africans are not happy to be given RDP houses that they've cracked to be taken to squatter settlement. People want to get jobs, they want to work, and they want to earn. Remember, in terms of our historical background as African people, most of the people have got their roots. For an example, we speak of a person who comes from Taung, for an example. People have got a belief that when you work, you must remember home. So this person wants to work and he wants to build a home, a house at home. So if he's getting 350 and he's getting RDP house, do you think that person is going to be happy? So these are but among the examples that we need to talk of. And then the issue here, and then also, let me also highlight this one that we spoke of. DA indicated the issue of Cape Town. Myself personally, I can tell you, I've been to Khayelitsha, I've driven to Khayelitsha. I was there in Khayelitsha, I know Khayelitsha, Harare, all those places. It's very terrible. The DA is not taking care of. If you go there, it's terrible. Conditions are unbearable there. You go to Danon, on your way to on your N7 road, you go to places such as Strand, Luandle. when you get into that township at the circle, you are greeted by dumps. So it's terrible. Roads have got potholes. You know, it's very terrible. You know, you go to Makasa, you go to, you know, towards your K-Flats, Mitchell's Plain. You go there. You know, the DA is only concentrating about the city of Cape Town. That's where you see the city is very clean, nice. But in the African townships, you know, to be honest with you, it's not. It needs to do its homework in as far as looking after our people.
I wonder what is that contract saying? The multi-party that the church ya reng jaaka kitla o kitsa gore tsela ntse bua kana ba khala fela jaaka economic freedom fighters e bua gore ga go ka mokgwa ba buang ka teng gore go Cape Town right go na le di informal settlement ke tlo go tla mo go ena Democratic Alliance African National Congress tsono re ya ka kwa EFF re verify DA tsono pele re tsa e karolo engwe ya baretsi. Mr. Carolus.
Yeah, thanks again, Ms. Lillian. From the ANC side, I said it earlier that any form of corruption, we are against it. There was this issue of the stadium in Sarafina. That is a monument of corruption. That stadium is incomplete. It's not serving the purpose why it's built, and millions were spent there. So we are we ask MPEG because apparently there's a case, and that case is not coming to conclusion, because we want to see those ones who was involved there.
Why is that? Why is it not coming to conclusion? What's the problem?
It's still with the Hawks. Why it's not in the courts? It's something that we always ask, why these things are not in the court. And that's not the only one. There's lots of incomplete projects that we think we must, the perpetrators of or contractors who was involved there must either repay or they must go to prison for what they are doing to our, it's an indictment what they are doing to our communities, these incomplete projects. So it's not that we are condoning that kind of nonsense, but I want to go to the informal settlements, because you stopped me earlier when I wanted to speak, and my colleagues were speaking, and I could see that you
yes, because we were still
give them a free flow, but they have already spoken. So
yes,
and on this one, I indicated there was in Poch there is 43 informal settlements. We have done profiling in more than 20 of them already. There is 13 settlements are already formalized. Now, the 13 that is formalized is for 7,000 stands, where we are going to put in infrastructure, electrify, and pack them.
13 from the 43.
Yeah, it's from the 20 that was profiled.
Okay.
Are formalized. So it's a process. Since we came in, the mayor was starting with this process. He actually employed someone to do the profiling for him for all the informal settlements, together with those people of the informal settlements. They was part of that committee to ensure that where the land is habitual for human settlement, we must let people stay there. That's why I want to go to Marikana. Marikana, it's true. Not the whole area is dolomitic. Where it's not dolomitic, that area is also part of the areas that's going to be formalized. Then on your route to the gravesite, there are two sections. They are going to put an electricity. The contract is already appointed. Councillors already have community meetings with those communities to inform them that they are going to electrify those places, so that we also because when you electrify it, you stop the stealing of electricity. You put them on the grid, so then there's also more income for the municipality, because the municipality is losing a lot through the illegal connections that is there. But these things, it has a history. It did not start now. It started during COVID. Because during COVID, in terms of the law, when you occupy land illegally, council must remove you within 48 hours so that you go back where you come from. But after 48 hours, there's no way that you can and during COVID, the restrictions was that no one must be removed. And there was lots of influxes in all the sections in Potchefstroom. It's something that has never happened. And that is why there is this serious challenges, especially of water, because where they are, there's no infrastructure for water because it's not a formal settlement. It's still informal. So, but some of them got communal taps. Others are being fed by tankering. That is why the reservoir that is there is built so that they must cater for that whole the whole area, and that will solve the problem of water there. Now, we speak on, I think, on 2 or 3 issues as if those are the only issues that our people are concerned on, and that will let people not vote for the ANC. It's not the only things. There are many things that the ANC has done, and we are not raising those things because it's soft issues. The fact that we are sitting like we are sitting here, it never happened during apartheid. Women earn less. Women and blacks was subjected to working with passers. All these things, it's things that has an impact on the life of a person. And other persons, I met with one old guy. He said, ANC, I throw my pass away because of the ANC.
Mr. Carlos,
that was the one issue that is raised.
Mr. Carlos, you will say I'm interrupting you. You are not answering questions that listeners have asked you. There's a listener who asked about a geyser tender. What happened to those geysers? Not everybody received them. That's one of the questions that the listeners asked you.
Yeah.
And I also want you to emphasize on this issue. I want you to explain it clearly. You spoke about 13 informal areas that have been attended.
7,000, yeah, that is already formalized.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It will assist if you listen to listeners and then respond to their questions.
Yeah.
Those are the voters. Let's not fail them.
No, we are not failing them.
Yeah.
But the let me not go there. Let me go to the issue that you was raising on. I noted it here.
The geyser. What happened?
The issue of the geyser. The geyser, the contract. Ne? A contract that contract was not for the whole community. You see, when you get a contract and it's for 3,000 for 3,000 units. Now, the area that needs geysers is more than 12,000 units need areas. But it was only for the 3,000. Now, when the 3,000 is done, the contract is stopped. It's not that the person has stolen the money.
So the contract stopped?
Yeah, they must. The municipality must apply for other funds so that they put in these geysers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will still be a continuation.
There's a continuation for the geysers. Because we are not doing it with our own funding. You apply for these funds, and that's how people are doing. Officials are executing these things, but that one was done by a private service provider also.
Okay.
So I know the service provider. I will not mention the name of the service, but that's why I understand the background. It was for a certain amount of units, and if he has completed it, he must reapply for other units, for funding for the other units.
But was that communicated with the larger community, or people who are still expecting to receive these geysers? Because otherwise I think a caller wouldn't have just...
In most cases, what councillors communicate these things when they have their meetings.
Okay.
Every ward where there's a project, what councillors will will call the meetings. A contractor does not go in there and start a project. They will also say which ones will get and which ones will not get. The others who did not also get is the ones with the asbestos roofs. They was only focusing on those ones with the corrugated iron roofs.
Okay.
So those was that was the issues with the
Okay, let me also assist here. A caller from Ward 27 in Matlong village, he called and he's talking about the fact that a ward councillor has water in her yard, but the rest of the community members are struggling. How do you respond to that? Do you know anything about what a community member is raising here?
No, I know nothing about the issue. We can investigate and verify the facts. But what I know about Matlong and the issue of water, in Matlong I think there's boreholes in the area of Matlong. And I know that there was a challenge with one of the boreholes. But with the issue of the the tank in the councillor's yard, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, but you noted
I don't
that you
even
make
know
a
where the
follow-up.
councillor's store stays. I will follow it up with them because I'm mostly deployed in the vicinity of
Okay.
JVM.
Ward 27 Matlong village.
Yes.
Okay,
I will follow that one up with the councillor.
all right.
Because sometimes she might have the water tank there, maybe also to provide. But if she sell it, then it's a problem.
Okay.
In my view.
Those were the questions directed to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the issue that I said. Let me investigate and verify
Okay.
the facts so that I don't just say things out of my
Thank you very
suck
much.
it out of my thumb.
EFF?
ke a leboga LILLIAN go na le mme o boditseng potso ya gore go kwetswe kae gore mo 30 yearseng ANC e tla be kgonne di-service delivery go create employment etc etc constitutionally a ke araba mme o na botsa potso ka tlotlo government e nngwe le nngwe e kenang e fiwa 5 years now mo 5 yearseng o tla ka se re se bitsang maano kgotsa tsone di-policies tse e leng gore nna ke le government ha ke kena ke tle go etsa so mo 5 years otherwise constitution e nka be sa bua ka 5 years e feeling e ne le gore constitution ya go fa 30 years nka go direla sekai ANC e tlile ka maano ao a yone e tshimolotse ya tla ka RDP ya tla ka what we call GER, growth employment and redistribution, ya tla ka ASGISA, shared growth initiative of South Africa, and then nou yana iteka NDP, national development plan e leng gore amongst others e bua ka di issues tsa lefatshe gore mo 30 years mo apartment ka mo go tloga ka nako e re implementang policy e ka yone up until 2030 re tla be re distributile lefatshe le lekane. Up until today, since 1994, ANC has only distributed 7% of the 100% ya lefatshe mo South Africa. Why? It is because they don't have the appetite. Ga bana keletso ewa ya go bona gore batho, especially batho ba bantsho ba kry-a lefatshe ba nna le space se e leng gore se se ngata se e leng gore ba ka kgona gore le bone ba ikgantse ka sone ba age matlo a ba batlang go aga ba direle bana dikamore ko morago ga matlo a bone ba kenye di-swimming pool ba kenye di-bara ba kenye whatever it is se ba batlang go se kenya mo jareteng. Why? Because ANC has failed ka di-policies tsa bone or ka maano a bone. And then issue stadium, the EFF will also do a follow-up for why stadium say issue santsane le go di hoaxing, because you might find there is someone good hoaxing o ileng gore o gatile tabe because ha se gore ba boramolao ba rona le bone they are always clean. Gona le ba ileng gore ba gata di issues to protect the top leaders tsa mogatlo o ileng gore wa busa. And then o ka se re ha o bua ka di bread and butter issues o bo batla go tsa 30 years or o batla go tsa 50 years. Simple issues tsa bo di service delivery tsa metsi tsa mabone ke di-issues tse e leng gore o tshwanetse o di attende ka nako ga ke batle go duela too much mo di-issues tsa metsi le mabone because re buile ka tsone go na le tate o boditseng ka mabone a site ya di-student tsa batho ba bantsho gore go etsiwang ka ke taba e leng gore SEFF tshwanetse re sa le morago ebile o buile ka taba e botlhoko ya gore go na le ngwana o rapilwe ke a itse le nna ke na le go utlwa gore batho ba tshwariwa dipoko site-eng ele especially a o ya ko bo Ward 7 site e nngwe le ya pika go e leng gore mostly go reside batho ba bantsho because it would seem as if the municipality does not care about them. So this issue we must attend to it as in yesterday re kgone go dila ka yone. So issue ya maponisa or issue ya bo ramolao ke issue e leng gore is very serious because maponisa ba imetswe. You'll find ile gore le ponisa le le 1 ratio ya teng e tsamaya ka 1:100 wa ntlhaloganya kry ile gore le ponisa le le 1 le dila ka batho ba le 100 ke direla example I'm not sure ka di-statistics tseo gore di yang. So maponisa a rona a imetswe. So taba ya gore re nne le security in the country government e tshwanetse e resource maponisa go se ka ga nna le gore go na le di-station tsa maponisa tse leng gore di a prioritiziwa because you might find if o tsa station sa maponisa sa go toropong o se compare le station sa maponisa sa mo location maponisa mo location ba na le vene tse 4 tse 5 ha wena o tlhagelwa ke kotsi o rubitsa maponisa ba go bolella gore vene ha iyo mara ha o ya go toropong e bitswa ke ba mmala o mosweu di vene di teng di case tsa bone di attendiwa as quickly as maponisa ka kgona. So ke issue ya gore re prioritize yang especially in terms of security because crime in South Africa e godile and e godiswe among other things ke unemployment e leng gore ya tlhagella mo country ya rona. So rona as the EFF government re tlhatlhobile kgotsa re dirile diagnosis ya gore mathata ke mo South Africa a re na le one up until today LILLIAN ha o checka ke buile ka issue ya lefatshe gore ANC e gone fela go ntsha go distributor 7% which is by no means good. It's very bad. And then how o tla go checka issue ya unemployment 40% and they are hiding it ba tla go bolela gore ke bo 20% bo 22% 40% ya batho ba South Africa they are unemployed. And you include graduates but who have in the high school, you include but while they are well educated, it means for 9+ million people in South Africa have a bereki ba go create ka mosebetsi le gore government ya re no after 30 years everything happy 30 years when the economy is not growing ya country economy ya rona I think it grow ka 0.6%. Now economy it grow ka 0.6% mo country ya batho ba le 60+ million wa go create young employment because our economy must grow at a faster pace so that we can create all these problems we can deal with all these problems tse leng gore di a tlhagelela. So re na le problem e ya economy usually fatse ke buile ka yone land expropriation is the number 1 cardinal pillar non-negotiable ya EFF e leng ha re le sotse le fatse as government e really custodian re tle go le dirisa sentle re tle go fa batho ba di business ha gona ntho ya gore re fa motho le fatse for 100 years for what 25 years 20 years is enough. How sa dirise le fatse le gore le tsa re le fa o mo netso ha re ra go tsa matlo a batho ya ka batho ba misinform especially batho ba se ba misinform batho gore no EFF ya re tle go tsa le fatse la lona matlo a re bua ka dilo re bua ka arable land le fatse le leng gore le na le maungo ha le dirisi because you will find motho mo so o mo one because it's a fact batho ba sweu 87% ya le fatse la South Africa le mo matsogong a batho ba sweu and that is allowed by the ANC government. And then the ANC government will then turn and say to batho ba bantsho re ba khatele while is supporting white people. So in terms of ditiro re na le priority ya bo di mine workers rona re tsa puso tšhelete a bone ya because ka the last elections we said they must get 12,000. Now re increase it 15,872,000 batho ba tshwana le bo di farm workers batho ba ile gore ba re produceetsa dijo ba re produceetsa dilo tse dingata ba ile gore ke batho ba ile gore ba kgathalwe mo South Africa ra re salary ya bone must start ka 6,000 ye go godimo. Issue ya energy le electricity re buile ka yone re tle go stopa load shedding rona SEFF because ra itse gore ke ntho e diriwang ka mabomu government ya rona gone ya no suddenly ka gone re ya go di-election mabonate immediately after, I can promise you, immediately after the elections ANC ya kry-a power, load shedding is going to start. Why? Re tla be re sa tlhole re tshuba. Why? Because they are unbundling, ba rekisa Eskom, ba e rekisetsa the business people, their brothers, because bo Shanduka bo Ramaphosa ba dira di Eskom le business le Eskom. Rona re le EFF ra re taba ya gore magala coal e stopiwe e ska tlhola e dirisiwa gore e create energy. Ha re go letlela, because why would we do that when the countries tse di tshwanang le bo Germany, the countries tse di tshwanang le bo America ba tsa magala a rona mo South Africa ba re bolela ka green energy? Why is bone ba tsa magala a rona ba tsa ba isa go di countries tsa bone ba itsupporta ka se leng gore rona ra se generator mo South Africa? So we are not going to allow that. Health, we must improve it. Bonkgono ba rona ba ema from Frugu go di clinicing go di hospital. Ha o ka ya go hospital a gone yana go Potchefstroom hospital, di line tsele di diteng, batho ba ba robala mo fatshe. It's very embarrassing, and e tlhabisa batho ba rona ditlo, especially bagolo ba rona bonkgono le batho ba rona ba ileng gore ba gateletswe ke malwetse bontate mogolo. This must be a priority ya gore bonkgono ba rona e nne bone le bontate mogolo ba ileng gore ba fiwa priority, le bana ba banyane le batho ba bomme go di clinic wa ntlhaloganya. And then ke kopela go dira the last two this point ya gore in terms of the grants, tšhelete ya bogodi, tšhelete ya batho ba ileng gore ba phela ka maybe ga ba siama mo mebileng jalo le jalo, rona ra really EFF we are going to increase it from 2,090 rand to 4,180. So bagolo ba rona bontate mogolo ba ska ba tsoga ba ntse ba bolelwa maka gore EFF e tle go stopa tšhelete ya pension ya bagolo. Re tle go tsa tšhelete wa re increase to 4,000 ha ba ka votela EFF ya tsa puso. Tšhelete ya di military veterans re tle go tlhatlhosa from 2,100 to 4,220. Tšhelete ya disability grant re tle go tlhatlhosa from 2,000 to 2,090 rand to 4,180. So ke tsone dilo tse e leng gore rona as EFF re tle go di prioritize. LGBTIA plus
ha ke batla gore ke go tsena mo leganong,
Okay.
ha ke batla gore ke go tsena mo leganong ka gore ke a utlwa o tshwere dintlha tsa manifesto ya no re le file platform ka di manifesto tsone di tlhatlhamolotse tota. A re re tsamaile go tswalla puisano ya rona tla re DA le tsibogelang dintlha tse le gore la di tsibogela.
Well, ke tsa gore go na le dintlhanyana tse di mmala o spina tse le gore ke di raisitswe ke baagi, but ke ne ke batla go tlhagisa ntlha e le gore e batla re nne re bala nakong motlhomo morara ha mo EFF ga tlhaloganye the difference between devolution and cessation. The DA is for devolution of powers, particularly powers that lies with the national government, to be devolved to a capable province like the Western Cape in order to, one, run their own police, two, and run their own public transport in as far as trains are concerned. Because we already know that we no longer have running trains in South Africa. So that's one thing. And then to give context to the issue, you know, people think that DA is a Masipala or Cape Town. I mean, just go here, an hour, 40 minutes drive. We are responsible for Midvaal local municipality, Momeyatin, where we've been getting clean audits for the past 10 years there. That municipality is rated as the best in Gauteng and the second best in South Africa. So I understand the issue you raise, you know, it's also delaying when people think that the issue of race is still going to work. I'm disappointed that Doc didn't actually see the mayor of Cape Town in Danon, Mayor Jordan Lewis, dealing with the issue of dumping. Doc, you should know by now, as a standing member of the community, that the issues that are being faced in Danon are the same issues that I face in Muading, where there is illegal dumping, where the municipality cleans and people also dump. It's not an issue that is unique to the DA run Western Cape. To give context to Khayelitsha, perhaps Muraraha forgot the fact that there are 4 wards in Khayelitsha and all of those wards are under the ANC. Now I give context to that in the sense that wards or ward councillors in the city of Cape Town get what we call a ward allocation of 1 million. That is the 1 million that ward councillors are supposed to actually enter into areas where the municipality is often unable to by using those particular funds. So the issues that are there are not different. There are issues that are different from Alexandra. If you compare Alexandra and Khayelitsha as apples and apples, Khayelitsha is far well developed than Alexandra. the best performing science and technology school in South Africa, or one of the best performing science and technology schools you find in Khayelitsha. But of course, I understand that there is a separation between understanding that there are people who don't depend on government, those are your affluent areas, and there are people who depend on government, and those are your majority black South Africans. Unfortunately, that's the demographics of the country. It's also said that 73% of the infrastructure budget in the 2023-2024 financial year will be directed directly to low-cost households, which include sewer upgrades, the introduction of the new MyCity bus routes from Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain to Claremont, safety technology including CCTV cameras, clinics, libraries, sports facilities, halls, housing and informal settlement upgrades, and much more. Technically, 87% of the budget of the city of Cape Town goes towards the poorest of the poor. It's a simple fact. And they can politicize this as much as they want. Where they see these appalling conditions. Because the reality is that the townships in the Western Cape are facing the same challenges, if not more challenges than those in ANC-run provinces. I think it requires honesty there. And then there's an issue here raised in respect of the caller who called and all of those other things. Otherwise, the city of Cape Town would not be rated the best metro in the country. Or they are just being made available. The issue of safety in and around the Northwest University, it's a serious issue. And I dare not politicize this issue. Now, one thing that we need to be aware of is that Khadi issues raise, particularly in this time of elections. There needs to be responsibility in how we deal with certain issues. Now, I stopped being a student or an employee of the university in 2017. So there are a number of issues that have been happening. We know that there is patrolling that is happening. Now, if there is no patrolling that is happening, the question should be, what has the SRC of the university, or has there been engagement with management of the university to say there are abandoned houses, particularly students that are staying here are black students, and these are the safety concerns that we have. But I take it upon myself today to go and facilitate a process where I do my own oversight to see what the issues are, so that I can be able to, as a member of parliament, engage with the university management to say, how do you as a university begin a process where you can then begin to take care of the students that enter into your institution. It's a discussion that needs to happen. It's not an issue that we need to politicize, unfortunately. And I think that we make a lot of mistakes by trying to politicize issues such as safety. And that is why we argue that if we had actually, in fact, the UN ratio is one police officer is equal to 250. In South Africa currently is 1:550, which is unbearable. But if you lower down the functions of the police, it means then resources police station and patrol. I mean, you remember there used to be patrolling in and around Bomohading, Ikageng, and all these other areas. You don't see police patrolling anymore, and that is largely because the police budget is keep on being cut by the national government. But ironically, budget increase the VIP protection for politicians. Why you put our cases se kana se botoka mo di politician and the president, deputy president, the executive say lo gore mapodisi a rona go bone ga ba se tloke in terms of increases. I can give you a myriad of examples in terms of the disservice that has been done by the ANC national government towards our safety and security as far as SAPS is concerned. Kona le khaitse go buleng ra o marabile o botsa gore ANC nela neng ka timeline ya gore e tlile go fedisa well. First of all, they've collapsed all the infrastructure that existed, that was left by the apartheid government. And we made an example of Singapore. When Singapore was also under apartheid or colonialism at the time, when the colonialists left, Singapore said, we are going to stay here, we're going to take the infrastructure that is here, and we're going to make it work for us in order for us to build our country. Singapore is a first world country now, today, from a third world country. The ANC could not do the very same thing. So now if you collapse infrastructure and people come here because they are supporters of thieves, and they come here and tell us, but what timeline did we give? We will be able to resolve. You were given a timeline of 5 years. Because governance is an ongoing process, is a never-ending process. And the policies that have been brought about by the ANC, including BEE, that is a policy that has benefited the likes of Edwin Sodi, a tenderpreneur that has been advocated by the ANC, who has left millions of South Africans unemployed and poor. That is the legacy of the ANC, right? Rather unfortunately. So we need to be able to look at these things in order to be able to be very practical about them and not politicize them, as has been the case here today. Now, you have in a situation where once you take over government, you've got what we call your plan for first 100 days. You cannot create an investment if you have no sustainable electricity supply. You cannot create investment if you do not have consistent water supply. So water shedding and load shedding must be a thing of the past within the first 100 days in office, so that we must have a plan. Unfortunately, the collapse of infrastructure, particularly in municipalities, is so much so that it will take time to begin to actually deal with them. The city of Cape Town took almost 20 years to be able to fix the mess that was left by the ANC government when they left office in 2006.
All right. Ke tsa go arabile dintlha tsotlhe go tsa dipotso tsotlhe tse le gore di ne di go lebane
ke tlhagise kgang ya ward councillor ya ko ke ward 22 ke tsa gore ke ward 22 sen 27 ko Matlwang village
ward 27
ke ward 27. All right. You are not going to get anything from the councillor. The councillor is rude. We've got screenshots on Facebook of that ward councillor to come nice. So you are not going, as the ANC, you are not going to do anything there. That community last year on Freedom Day invited us as the DA to go and attend a meeting to address service delivery that is related to that ward. And they said, what councillor, we don't want this ward councillor. What has the ANC done to people who are not delivering? They've kept them in positions. Supama Upampe collapsed the province of the Northwest. Where did the ANC take him? They took him to Parliament to go and be the portfolio committee chair on tourism. The ANC rewards people who are corrupt, who are thieves, and who steal the future of this country. Imagine, I must sit here as an ANC person and tell a graduate who has been unemployed for 3 years to go and vote for the very same party that has introduced policies that have collapsed the economy, has taken investors away, and they must go and vote for that particular party. It is embarrassing.
ba le gone re tle re utse gore bone ba bonana pele dintlha tse jang ba bua jang ka tsone ebile ba go solofetsang o le motlhophi wa naga ya rona ya Africa Borwa. A re dire jana ga re ya go go etswalla in 30 seconds Mr. Carolus, 30 seconds EFF, 30 seconds Action SA, 30 seconds DA. 29 of May, why should South Africans go out there in those 3 ballots and put X on your party? In closing, 30 seconds.
The ANC has done a lot for the 30 years, together with the communities. Not alone. We will always say together with the communities, and that is the reason why we say they must vote for the ANC. The ANC is opening a clinic tomorrow. The ANC is opening an industrial park to create jobs in locally. There is a project, Tunsali rollout, where the premier will come in every community with all the services of government and assist communities. So those are the projects that we have to assist the communities to ease their plight, and that is the reasons why we will ask people to vote for the ANC.
Okay. EFF?
Because the ANC remains the only democratic, non-racial, non-sexist organization in South Africa.
Okay. Economic freedom fighters?
Jobs and land now, stop load shedding, 9 million jobs, stop crime and corruption, free quality education for all, free quality health care, 24-hour clinics, increase social grant, in-source all cleaners, security guards and general workers, by Hirwe permanent, the security, the cleaner, the general workers, supply of reliable water, building of quality houses, gender equality, and lastly, Rekupaholaleta Bahiko O Artambo, Selo Julius Malema, president of the EFF, the CIC, Otabaliko Artambo, Kadi 9 it's a May 5 o'clock, Bahi Botle Bon Hono Bon Tatemo Holo, Bana Badikolo, La Lady or Mamelan Tatemalema, Kadi 9 it's a May O Artambo Galeo.
Okay, action I say?
I think people should, when they go and vote, they must think of things like water, problem that the ANC has failed to supply, they must think of the problem of sewerage, spillage that is taking place in their communities. They must think of the state of roads. They must think of the recreational facilities, stadiums that have not been, that have collapsed. Others are white elephants. People must think of the problem of housing, houses that ANC has built, and some of those houses are falling apart. And people must also think of the state of the railways. Our railways are no longer functional. So Action SA is a party that believes in fixing all those problems that we have spoken about. Okay. And Action SA feels that you vote for Action SA, come the elections, you will see there will be law and order in South Africa. You will see that there will be, our borders will be secured, there will never be porous anymore. You will see there's going to be economic growth, which has got to do with inclusivity. We don't discriminate. We are accommodative, where we'll deal effectively with load shedding and make sure that everyone gets employed. And those that do not want to get employed, they get self-employed.
Okay.
Thank you.
DA, 30 seconds.
First of all, 75% of well-run municipalities in South Africa are DA-run municipalities, mostly in the Western Cape, including Midvaal, which is the #1 best-performing municipality in Gauteng under the DA for the past 10 years. Secondly, to create 2 million jobs. Thirdly, to end load shedding and water shedding. 3, to halve the rate of violent crimes, including murder, attempted murder, and gender-based violence. Fifthly, to crush corruption by abolishing cadre deployment in favor of merit-based appointments, to lift 6 million people out of poverty, to triple the number of grade 4 learners who are able to read for meaning in any language, and to ensure quality health care for all, irrespective of economic status. These are the DA differences that are being made where we are in government.
African National Congress Economic Freedom Fighters DA Action SA re leletsa masigo ba gaetsho di 29 tsa May a re eng go bona gore maAfrika borwa a tlhopha ka mokgwa o ntseng jang ba utlwile bo mang mo bosigong ba gompieno ke lebogile thata guest.
Thank you.
How it feels to be loved, how it feels to be how it feels to be loved.
Dankie.